Have you ever really thrown yourself into chasing a goal, poured everything into it, like climbing the career ladder, getting that thing you wanted,
Yeah.
only to get there, hold it in your hands and just feel, well, a bit empty?
Oh, absolutely. It's a feeling that's much more common than people might think, right?
Definitely.
Especially today, where we often equate, external stuff with being happy inside.
Right.
That gap between success on the outside and how you actually feel, it's powerful.
And that gap is exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at Robin Sharma's book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
A classic, really.
It really is. It's the story of Julian Mantle. He's this super successful lawyer, a real workaholic. Seems like he has it, all the money, the profile, even this legendary Ferrari. But then, bang, his life takes this completely unexpected turn after he collapses, right in the middle of court.
Yeah, heart attack, wasn't it? It wasn't just a physical collapse, though. It was like his whole world, his whole way of being just crumbled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It forced him to face that hollowness under the surface of his quote-unquote perfect life.
And his reaction was pretty extreme. I mean, really radical.
Totally. He decides to just shed his old life, sells everything, including that famous Ferrari.
Yeah, the ultimate status symbol for him.
And then he just takes off, goes on this solo journey to India, looking for something completely different, something deeper, I guess.
Definitely seeking meaning, not just more stuff.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack the wisdom Julian found, those timeless ideas, but also the practical bits.
Yeah, how can you actually use this?
Exactly. We want to show you how these insights aren't just, nice theories. They can be a kind of shortcut to a life that feels more balanced, more meaningful, more fulfilling right now.
So, ready to explore that shift from total burnout to genuine inner peace.
Let's do it. Okay, so we have to start where Julian started, right? To really get why he made such a huge change.
Yeah, context is key.
Despite all the outward success the big cases won, the money, the reputation, he was miserable.
Deeply unfulfilled. The book talks about insomnia, constant stress, that gnawing emptiness you mentioned.
So the collapse in court, it wasn't really sudden, was it? More like the final straw, the breaking point of a life that just wasn't sustainable.
Exactly. It was inevitable, in a way.
And thinking about him,
Yeah.
a guy whose whole identity was wrapped up in success and status,
Hmm.
to then sell the Ferrari, the very symbol of it all, and head off alone to the Himalayas. I mean, wow. That's a massive leap of faith.
It really is. What do you think was the biggest hurdle for him, just making that initial decision?
Good question. I think maybe
Hmm.
letting go of what other people thought, or maybe just letting go of his own idea of who he was supposed to be.
I think you're right. It wasn't just selling the car. It was breaking those mental chains,
Yeah.
the expectations, the identity tied to possessions and status.
Yeah.
The book suggests he had to sort of unlearn what he thought success meant before he could even start looking for real meaning.
Right. Deconstruct before you can rebuild.
Exactly. And it's there, in India, in the Himalayas, that the real learning starts. He finds these guides.
The wise teachers, Yogi Raman and then the sages of Savannah.
The book paints this picture of him slowly unwinding, the quietness, the stillness. It kind of forces him to face the noise inside.
Guided by these figures who have this deep, ancient wisdom.
Yeah. It wasn't instant, though. It was a process.
Okay, so let's get into that wisdom. The sages taught him about mastering the mind. Now, for a sharp lawyer like Julian, whose mind was probably always on, always analyzing, criticizing.
Right, a relentless machine.
What does mind mastery actually look like for him? Was it about making the mind silent or something else?
That's a common misunderstanding, isn't it? Thinking it's about silence.
Yeah.
But the book describes it more as learning to observe your thoughts, like watching clouds drift by without getting caught up in them, no judgment.
Okay.
There's this technique mentioned, the heart of the rose, where you focus intently on something simple, like a rose, just to practice quieting the mental chatter.
Like focused attention.
Exactly. And the big insight for Julian, I think, was realizing that fighting negative thoughts often just makes them stronger.
Right, resistance feeds them.
Yeah. So mastery wasn't about fighting, but about accepting they're there and then consciously choosing not to engage. Kind of an act of detachment.
Okay, so you acknowledge the thought, but don't follow it down the rabbit hole.
Precisely. And that's how he started to build real mental clarity, real confidence. Not through force, but like gentle redirection.
Intentional focus, not suppression. Makes sense. Okay, so mind mastery is one pillar. What else? The sages talked about purpose and discipline too, right?
Big ones.
Purpose can feel Huge, though. Kind of abstract. How did they make it practical for Julian? Especially when he was feeling so lost.
Well, they didn't frame it as finding one single giant life mission necessarily.
Right.
It was more about using purpose as a compass, day to day, aligning your actions, even small ones, with what you genuinely value, what you're passionate about.
Like guiding principles for your choices?
Exactly, and they introduced him to Kaizen.
Ah, the Japanese philosophy. Continuous improvement.
Yeah, but not in a stressful, high-pressure way. More like small, consistent steps forward, tiny improvements every day. Lifelong learning, basically.
So discipline wasn't about harsh regimes, but more about that consistency.
Yes. The book really shows that Julian's big changes didn't come from one dramatic event, but from the compounding effect of these small, disciplined actions.
Like adding 5 minutes to meditation or choosing a kind response instead of reacting.
Exactly, those kinds of things. It's the steady application of these little virtues that builds momentum, builds character over time, respecting your own journey, too.
So it's not waiting for some grand revelation, but showing up for the small things consistently. That really grounds it.
It does. It makes it feel achievable, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we have mind mastery, purpose through daily action, discipline through consistency. What about the past? We all carry baggage. How did Julian learn to deal with his, especially failures or regrets?
That's crucial. The sages taught him to see the past differently, not as something to be ashamed of or constantly regret.
Which is easy to do.
Oh, yeah. But to see it as a source book, full of lessons, full of wisdom, if you look at it that way.
Extracting the learning.
Right. Julian, like a lot of us, tended to dwell on mistakes or get anxious about what might happen.
Sure.
So they gave him practices to anchor him firmly in the now, to really notice and appreciate the present moment, the simple stuff, the beauty in everyday life.
Instead of being lost in yesterday or tomorrow.
Exactly. Find the insight from the past, use it, and then focus your energy on right now. Move forward, don't stay stuck.
Okay, transforming the past into fuel, not chains. I like that. And it feels like if you're truly present, the next logical step might be looking outwards. The book talks a lot about service, doesn't it?
It really does. That's a huge piece of his transformation, embracing selflessness, altruism.
How did that connect to his own happiness, though?
Well, paradoxically, Julian discovered that real fulfillment, deep happiness, it doesn't come from focusing only on yourself. It comes from serving others, helping people. When you cultivate empathy, compassion by actively doing things for others, it shifts your whole focus.
Teach you out of your own head, maybe. Your own anxieties.
Exactly. It gives your life this bigger, outward-looking purpose. It's presented as a really powerful pathway to inner peace. Less self-absorption, more connection.
Which ties back to finding joy in the journey, appreciating the moments. It all seems interconnected.
Absolutely. It's holistic.
So if you tie all these threads together, mind mastery, purpose, discipline, learning from the past, serving others, being present, what's the big takeaway? The overarching message Julian brought back.
I think the core message is about integration, weaving mindfulness, purpose, and that commitment to ongoing growth into the fabric of your everyday life.
Not just thinking about it, but living it.
Right. Understanding that fulfillment isn't some destination you finally reach after years of striving. It's a state of being, something you cultivate day by day through these consistent practices and by really appreciating the present, finding the joy in the process, not just waiting for the outcome.
And Julian didn't just keep this to himself, did he? That's key to the book's structure.
No, he comes back and shares it all with his old colleague, John.
And he does it using a fable, right? A story within the main story.
Exactly, which is brilliant because it makes these potentially complex spiritual ideas really accessible, memorable.
Uses symbolism, metaphors.
Yeah, so it's not just dry philosophy. It lands as practical, actionable advice, tools you can use to overcome your own obstacles and grow.
The fable format itself kind of mirrors Julian's teaching method, making ancient wisdom digestible for modern life.
Perfectly put. It shows that transformation is possible, but it's a journey, applying these principles step by step.
So, wrapping up our deep dive into The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, it feels pretty clear that, real transformation, finding that wisdom, it's genuinely within reach.
Yeah, when we make that conscious shift, prioritizing inner growth, well-being, over just the external stuff.
It's about turning your focus inwards to cultivate happiness, rather than just chasing it outside yourself.
And by adopting that mindset, being present, having purpose, committing to improving yourself bit by bit, you really can unlock so much potential.
Lead a more balanced, more meaningful life.
Anyone can start that path right now.
Yeah.
Small steps, Consistency.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. If Julian Mantle could let go of a life defined by huge material success, that iconic Ferrari, to find inner peace, what small Ferrari, maybe metaphorical, might you be holding on to? What attachment, what old idea might be keeping you from your own deeper fulfillment, your own sense of purpose and joy?